The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program, and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello there, and welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm CJ, and my co-host is a little late today. Sorry about the feedback. Let's see if I can get my co-host in, because he seems to be running just slightly late this morning. There you are, Chip.
Well, I apologize for being a few minutes late. I was actually here, but I was outside screaming at CVS Caremark and the prescription drug issues that we have to deal with in this city every day, because they have absolutely no consideration for anybody or their plight in life. So,
Well, no, because again, they're CVS Caremark.
so we've got a lot to talk about today.
Yes, well, the first thing I want to talk about, I sent it to you via email last night. One of our tipsters was out there, and this may not be the best thing to actually bring up, but if you look at your monitor, Chip, you'll see that there it is, a certain picture. Can you identify many of those people?
Yeah, they think, well, the back of their heads are kind of like...
The back of the head is an allegation, and I really don't even want to get into that, but accordingly, this is a picture of 5 members, a quorum, of the city council present at Applebee's after the city council meeting last night. And I'm sure they didn't discuss any issues related to the city council meeting. Those 5 city councilors were Sean Kadim, Richard Cabaceres, Linda Pereira, Ray Mitchell, and very out front there next to the gentleman's head is Steve Long. Now, I posted this morning after receiving it from a tip and sent it out via email to the 5 city councilors involved, including the allegation in there of who that unnamed individual may be. And again, I'm not going to get into that here. I did get into it a little bit online. But interestingly enough, people started screaming an open meeting law violation right away. And it may very well be. But I think what this is saying to these 5 individuals, that no matter where you go, there we are. Because we have people out there watching everything you say and do. And we are not going to allow our government to trample over us. Now, I sent this out with a quote from our lovely former president, now who has passed away, John Adams. And I thought it was very interesting because this speaks volumes to the people. A 3-hour meeting last night screaming about net school spending. And the outcome is, let the state decide. Well, the state would probably do a better job than this monkey barrel than we have going on. I mean, this is just amazing what we see in Fall River.
It's beyond them. It's outrageous. It's unacceptable. Listen, this has been going on for I don't know how long. We have probably, I don't know, over $500,000 to $1 million worth of salaries tied up in the financial team of the school department. We have a like amount, including salaries and benefits on the city side. So we got a couple of $1 million worth of dead wood there that can't agree on a number. And I just don't understand it, because as much as Meg Mayo Brown wants to believe, and the school department wants to believe they are a nation unto themselves because of ed reform, they are not. They are still part of the overall city budget. Why they even have a financial team is beyond me. but they have their own because they're like their own separate nation. However, they still work for and are budgeted and paid by the city of Fall River. And the mayor is not only the head of the city of Fall River, he's the chairman ex officio of the school committee. So I don't know why this is such a difficult problem. They both work for the mayor. This is the city. As I've said numerous times, they're on the council floor disagreeing with each other, talking about half-truths and past practices, which is ridiculous, because they don't even know what the elements of a past practice are. I do, but they don't. Kathy Ann Veras was using that like she actually knew what it meant, but she doesn't, because it has to be done for a long period of time without deviation, and it has to be accepted by both parties, which it wasn't. The fact is that the school department budget carrying health care expenses is new, so therefore it's impossible to have a past practice established. Plus, there's a contractual obligation to pay. So the whole thing is nothing more than political doublespeak and propaganda, when the resolution to this issue is simple. You call the school department, the mayor, who, by the way, the superintendent of school really works for overall, or you don't pay her, and you tell her, get your financial team over to Government Center tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock to meet with the financial team on the city side, and I'm going to lock them in the room and slide a little bit of food and water in there occasionally until we can agree on a number. We're living in the same city. You're working for the same employer. And they're allowing you to basically disagree? Now that's leadership. That's real leadership. You let this three-ring circus of he said, she said, catch-22 go on forever. This is what's wrong with Fall River. We have an incompetent, inept government. We got a city council that can find Applebee's to have a few drinks and talk about what went on, which I said is a violation of the law. But this is the way we run this city. You know, it's not a wonder that this city is in the situation it's in. Now we've become the lowest income in the state. We have the rather dubious distinction of being called the dumbest city in the United States by the Washington Post, based on a bunch of criteria. You know, and why? Why? Because it seems that our government is incapable of actually having any kind of leadership. It's always the blame game. They're wrong. No, you're wrong. No, I'm wrong. No, the city. Let's go to the state. You know what the state's going to tell you? And you wonder. And then they turn around and complain about the state, thinking we're a bunch of idiots down here. That we're morons. Because you're going to go to the state and say, hey, listen, the school department and the city side can't agree. Really? You've got COOs and CFOs and treasurers in the school department, and we got treasurers and auditors and consultants on the city side, and nobody can figure it out. This must be like nuclear physics, because I don't know what happened to the other 350 cities and towns in this state, but they've managed to figure out what their liability is for net school spending. Yet Fall River, this is a giant mystery. And rather than solving the mystery by locking all these miscreants that are charged with doing this work in a room until they do something, they just say, it's your fault, and they play the blame game, and everything stays the same. And it's absurd. You know, it would be like two police officers coming up to a scene of a bank robbery and standing out in the middle of the street saying, this is your call. No, this is your call. No, it's your call. No, it's the other sector's call. Really? I mean, you know, and they continue to categorically refuse the swear word. forensic audit. But that's what we need. There's only two solutions to this problem, and that's forensic audit or receivership. Because I don't care, it seems that nobody, all they do is talk. Nobody minds the store. I haven't seen a resolution from the city council demanding that the two parts of our pseudo-government here, you know, the school department, that entity within an entity, get their financial house in order, meet with the city, and if there are any questions, then agree. And if they can't interpret the law, and they can't interpret the way net school spending is supposed to be computed, this should not be a question that's asked of the state. The question should be asked by the voters and taxpayers of Fall River is, why are you getting paid to do this job if you can't do it? If we can't figure this out, why are you getting paid?
Cha-ching. It's cha-ching, you know, it's money. But you know, it's very interesting because I think we'd get better government with Larry, Curly, and Mo than we get what we currently have. And you know, 3 hours for a city council meeting to discuss net school spending, in my opinion, is just mildly excessive. Mildly, I'll be nice about it. But you know, let's get on to some more great news. New Hampshire. I loved it. What a slap in the face. You know, on the Democratic side, you had Bernie Sanders, 60% of the vote. 60%. 13 delegates. You know, Hillary Clinton's kind of licking her wounds right now because she thought she was going to be Bill. You know, she thought she was going to be the underdog and come out, you know, banging. But guess what? She came out limping. 9 delegate votes. 9. Not much at all. But I think that on the Republican side, this is speaking volumes to people. Donald Trump, 35.1% of the vote, 10 delegates. This is a man who is telling the people exactly what they want to hear. And that's why he's coming out so far ahead in all the polls. But I think the bigger issue is the fact that the governor from Ohio, Kasich, came in second with 15.9% of the vote. And, you know, he's the moderate. He's the guy in the middle of the road. So I think that he truly is going to be the guy to beat. I had a conversation briefly this morning with a professor at Bristol Community College, and he was like, well, you've got Trump, you've got Sanders, both of whom are going to leave us in a flaming hole in this country. And then you've got Kasich, who's kind of like right in the middle. And while he may not be everyone's selection for president, he is the middle of the road guy, and at least he won't nuke the hell out of us. So, you know, it's probably very, very true. But, you know, Cruz came in third, and, you know, 11.6. And this morning, they didn't even wait. This morning, Cruz took out blaster ads against Trump, and Trump also came back and, you know, slammed him. Although I must say, Cruz's ad was kind of amusing. It was a...
it was a little childish, actually.
Yeah, it was. But, you know, when you finally make an action figure, you know you're big.
Well, I'll tell you, what really warmed the cockles of my heart with this is it's beginning to show the anger has finally gotten to the voting public. You know, it took them probably 20 years too late, but they're beginning to get angry. And the fact that Donald Trump, whether you like or dislike him, and I know that the New York Times had quite the front page and calling anybody who supported him I don't know, a zombie, a mindless, whatever, which, you know, is kind of negative journalism. They talk about negative politics, but I guess because we didn't agree with their pick, they're going to do that. But this shows that the people are beginning to pay attention, which is a good thing, because you know something, The only time the politicians actually maybe give you a half a listen is when they think that you're gonna burn them. And, you know, Kasich is going to have some trouble in the South. I mean, the problem is people don't vote on every major issue. Everywhere you go, the demographic thinks an issue is different. And you know, when you get to the South, they've already laid out the battle plan. The battle plan is not going to be about the failing economy, the you know, all our military interventions and the fact that our military is very, very, very small at this point in time. It's going to be about gay marriage and abortion and things like this, because South Carolina is about 80 and 90% Baptist or evangelical, and this is where Cruz runs strong. And, you know, Kasich's going to have some trouble. Although Trump is showing some pretty good numbers, which is a really indication. When you begin to get to the religious right a little bit, when they can get their brain off their religious views and actually focus on some other political thing, it's a good sign. And on the Democratic side, again, people are outraged. They're tired of the same old, and their indications. Will Trump and Bernie make it, you know, not if their parties have anything to do with it. We know that because neither of them is the pick of their party. And, you know, they're going to do everything they can to topple them. But the fact is that this election has now created a firestorm for people to really pay attention. People are engaged. It's like a soap opera now. And that's what we want. We want people to pay attention to what's going on. It's like you said, you know, if you look at that city council meeting in 3 hours of the city council allowing those two factions to sit there and disagree and blame each other, and your figures are wrong, and my figures are, no, your figures are wrong. You know, that just goes to show that the council isn't doing their job, because some councilors should have said, wait, I move to stop this debate, send them all back, and tell them to earn their money.
You know, Chip, though, the funny thing is that this council is basically pretty new, okay? But there are 3 people on that council, Long, Pereira, and Mitchell, who touted this budget, touted the meeting of net school spending, and then they slammed themselves in the foot that the budget that they presented and approved was fiction. It wasn't even a real budget, because they were going to meet net school spending with promises. And, you know, what part of that didn't they understand when they made those promises? So, yes, Linda, Steve, Ray, you did this. You did this. You created this mess. And now you're trying to dig yourself out of it. So I wonder if that was the conversation at yesterday's meeting at Applebee's.
Well, it looks like we may be going back to '95. In '95, we had the five councilors booted, and they were, you know, you see now we're getting another group.
Yep.
And you know, it's nice to be agreeable on a page and agree on an issue. But it's very dangerous when you create a coalition that votes the same way on virtually everything, because then it actually inhibits the process. We're supposed to have 9 independent minds on there, and this everybody hold hands and sing kumbaya is not the way government's supposed to work.
No.
It's supposed to be, you look at it, you're a representative of the people, you take that job seriously, and you then look at every issue and how it affects the taxpayer, and you take a position based on that. And if you agree with your colleagues, that's good. That means that maybe we're on the right track. But if you disagree, you stand up. And sometimes when these coalitions are formed, it's like Washington, where everybody kind of has to log roll, and they have to support some things they don't like to get that coalition's vote on another issue that they may want. It hasn't started out very well. It's not a good indication. And the reality is that, you know, it's their job to hold these people's feet to the fire, not let them give them a three-hour forum for them to make the people sick that realize, you know, the next time they go in front of the council, I was going to wear a sign that said, like, "Eat it, Joe's," for today. But the next time they go before the council, I think before they start their presentation, rather than like we have to do, give our address and to prove we live in Fall River, since they work for the city of Fall River, I think they should go in front of the microphone, identify themselves, their position, and their salary.
Yeah, that would be nice, wouldn't
Because
it?
I would like to see how much money we're paying.
Wasting,
Exactly. But how much money we're paying these people. And not only that, they should give their salary and how much staff they have to work for them and their salary to see how many millions of dollars we're wasting so we can have a three-ring circus in the middle of the city council chamber. And then the resolution of that is nobody can figure this out. We're all too dumb because we live in the dumbest city in the country based on a Washington Post. So let's go ask Boston. And then when Boston says things like, they're all idiots down there, they get highly insulted. It's like they take, oh, how dare they say that? It's probably because we do crap like this. It's like, look, those idiots in Fall River can't figure out net school spending. They want us to help them. Well, you know something? If they do, and that's the way we want to run it, I think the next thing the city council should look for is pay cuts from all these people. Because if Boston's doing 50% of their job, maybe they should cut their salaries.
Hey, you know, it's interesting because, again, you know, we've been off the air for 2 shows, so I was glad we got in here today. But, you know, no matter what we do in Fall River, it seems like the idiot factor keeps playing into effect. You know, there was a story about how many traffic citations were issued in both snowstorms. 1,780 tickets. Do you know that people came out and drove saying they should have warned me they were going to give me a ticket? I posted the press releases. It said you were going to be ticketed. It said you were going to be towed. 7 cars were towed. And don't you know, they say, well, they should do an all-out effort to tell me that they're going to ticket me. What are they going to do? Send up smoke signals? You know, this is the idiot factor we have in this city. And it just keeps going on and on and on and on. You got a mayor who's turning around right now saying, oh, we're going to look at rezoning the King Philip Mill property to residential or mixed use. Meanwhile, he's saying out of the other side of his face, but we're going to seek demolition permits.
Yeah, but they're going to demolish it, then they're going to build more housing, just what we need in Fall River.
Exactly.
The people who own income property can't get people to rent their properties, and they don't have enough money to pay their rent half the time. So let's build a whole bunch of more low-income property and bring a few more into the city so we can maybe break 30% living below the poverty level.
Hey, and not only that, maybe it's going to be market rate housing.
Well, we all know what market rate housing is a code word for. It's like we get to build it, we get to get a TIF, and then when we can't rent it, we can turn it into Section 8.
Exactly.
We can say, hey, we can't get anybody to move. I mean, all we have to do, the logo every time we discuss this that we should put on the screen behind us rather than at the satellite is Point Gloria.
Yeah, I know.
You know, we didn't learn this lesson from Point Gloria. The luxury condo place that ended up, and it's just, you look at this, and it's just so frustrating because, you know, they've already resurrected the talk about taxing to the max. And somebody's even talked about overrides. We can't figure out where the money we got is going, where it should go, how much we've got. And we continue to create new jobs and expand government and payroll, and they expect us not to be upset. I don't know how this can go on. I mean, it's just, Fall River is bizarro world. It is.
And the thing is, we look at the money that's being spent. We got rid of a treasurer, we got rid of an assessor, and we hire, under contract, Mary Sahadi. And she can't even show up on time for a meeting. She showed up an hour after the meeting started. Did her job as a CPA that doesn't do any accounting because we only do reconciliations get in the way? Or did her job as a housing authority member get in the way. I mean, we're paying you good money, and maybe you think 25 grand isn't good money, but to a family in Fall River, they live on less than that. So 25,000 to them is good money, but you don't have to show up on time. I get so tired of hearing why people don't have to show up on time. You know what? When I worked for somebody else, if I didn't show up on time, I got written up. If I didn't show up again on time, I got written up again. Then I got suspended. Then I got fired. I mean, if you didn't show up on time for a fire, what would happen, Chip? I mean, come on.
We'd be in a little bit of trouble. But the fact is that, and you're right, because not only, the other factor that really upsets me to no degree is maybe, I've been shoveling snow on and off, for 5 days, so maybe I'm a little bit less, and then dealing with the pharmaceutical, maybe my patience is a little worn thin. But what really bothers me is when they do show up, sometimes I wonder if it's not good if they don't show up, because the fact is that we never get a figure that's accurate, we never get a figure that's concrete, and then we get comments like, yeah, I guess we should have put it in a memorandum of agreement. You can scold me. Really? What is this? It was like, now I have flashbacks of our law department saying we didn't get it in writing on Dominion. It's like, how many times do these people have to continue doing the same thing and having the city not hold them accountable and the city council not holding them accountable? How many times are we going to hear, we didn't put it in writing? The law department. And as I said before, if you go to most lawyers' office, you have to fill out an affidavit and sign it to go to the bathroom if you leave his office. But our law department didn't put anything that had to do with Dominion in writing. Now we have, I guess we should have had a memorandum of agreement. Really? Really? This is like you said. I'll tell you what, if we had Mo, Larry, and Curly in charge, it would be a lot better, because I think they could run a better ship than we're running, because all we see is a repetition of the same mistakes over and over and over again, which we all know is what is the definition of insanity. Repeating the same action and expecting a different result. And we continue to do the same thing over and over again. So, hey, everybody's pumped. Trump won, Bernie won, we got races, South Carolina's coming up, people are paying attention throughout the country, and this is good. But remember, everybody pat yourself on the back, Fall River. We did it first. We were the guys that did the recall. We were engaged before this presidential election, so let's stay engaged, stay informed, stay angry.
I guess we're not that dumb then, huh? I guess we're not so stupid. And now they're talking about recalling Governor Raimondo. Boy, we're really, we're infectious. We're infectious,
That's right, yeah.
And it's amazing that people still walk around with their head in the sand, if they walk at all. They put their heads in the clouds, they put on the rose-colored glasses, and they say, la 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 la, everything's wonderful. Meanwhile, I think the new theme song for the city of Fall River should be the Gilligan's Island theme. It's a 3-hour tour.
Yeah.
Because we're at the point now where it's going to go from the Gilligan's Island theme to the MASH theme. People don't even know what the title of the MASH theme is. It's Suicide is Painless, because that's where this city's going.
From the song in the movie.
Yes, exactly.
That preceded the television
series. But it's amazing that people do not learn from history. And I think Adam said it well when he said, the government is its own worst enemy. And when you give a man power, he'll destroy it. And this is what we're doing here in Fall River. Hey, it was great being back with you guys today. We'll have to see you on Friday. And remember, don't tick off Mother Nature, so we don't need any more snow.
Stay warm and stay angry.